favorite superhero, Stupendous Man, once stated, "There is no problem so awful that you can't add a little guilt to it and make it worse." Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, when was the last time you felt guilty? I had a tremendous attack of guilt on January 1st. Not because I overindulged the night before, but because I turned my calendar to January, and there near the end of the month was a big D on one of the days. And D on my calendar indicates a trip to the dentist. And I was suffering an acute attack of flossing guilt. I know some of you are probably overachievers and you floss every day. You're flossing junkies. For the rest of us mere mortals, we're flossing flunkies. I begin, when I see the D on the calendar, I begin to cram for the exam. I floss every day. I floss 2, sometimes 3 times a day, trying to get ready for that appointment so that when I sit in the chair and my dental hygienist asks me sweetly, "How's the flossing been going?" I can sweetly smile back and say, "Oh, I've been flossing every day." Flossing guilt is what's called a true and productive guilt. The purpose is to get you to change, improve your life by making a change, and then you don't have to experience the guilt anymore. In contrast, there is something that is a false guilt. This happens when it's something that you can't change, you can't prevent, and there's nothing you can do. A common false guilt is survivor's guilt. In mass casualty events such as 9/11, the 35W bridge collapse, or the Sandy Hook Elementary shooting, the people that live through these experiences experience a deep sense of guilt because they survived when their colleagues or friends or family did not. A false guilt to this magnitude often requires professional help. But we also experience false guilt through our life, and it's not that hard to get rid of. Let me introduce you, instead of the 4 food groups, let me introduce you to the 4 guilt groups. They are food, laws, expectations, and moms. Some of us are very good at eating healthfully. The rest of us experience a fair amount of food guilt. You know you should eat better. We can all do something to eat a little more healthfully. But I say, if you're going on a food guilt trip, go somewhere really good. Don't waste it on that cheap ice cream from the store brand. Go for the double chocolate Haagen-Dazs. Don't eat the Hershey's chocolate. Get one of those nuggets of Nirvana, which is the chocolate from Russia that were shared last week. Go somewhere worthwhile with your food guilt. Law is the second group. It's fairly cut and dried. Laws are published for all to read and know. You're either guilty of breaking the law or you're not. The problem is that some of us have false guilt. This shows up when you're driving down the road and you see a cop. The first thing that happens is my heart rate goes up, sweat glistens on my forehead. I simultaneously take my foot off the gas onto the brake and I look to see if I'm speeding. I'm usually not. I'm not a habitual speeder, and yet I always feel guilty when I see a cop. That's my most common false guilt. Our third group guilt today is expectations. There are a lot of people that have expectations of you. Your boss expects you to be productive at work. Your spouse expects you to come home for dinner. Your mom expects you to call. And your kids expect you to listen to them. Expectations in your life are often described as shoulds. I should exercise 30 minutes a day. I should change the oil in my car every 3,000 miles. And you should take out the trash before it stinks up the kitchen. The key is to find a balance between the shoulds in your life with your wants and needs. And when you find that balance, call me, because I think we can make a book deal out of this. The fourth guilt group is moms. Moms are a special group. They experience probably more guilt as a people group than any other group on the planet. They feel guilty when they feed their kids too much or too little or the wrong things. If their kids sleep too little or too much. They feel guilty when they don't vet their child care providers properly with background checks. Every choice a mother makes is an opportunity to feel guilty. Because they have so much guilt in their life, they become very adept at giving it away. Besides priests, they are probably better at making you feel guilty than anybody else in the world. And the best part is, they can do it with a look. You know, you each have your mom's look that when she looks at you that way, you know you did something wrong. I don't know how we learn this look, but my kids know it too. I can't even imitate it because I don't know what I do. But I do it. I know I do because I give them that look and they're like, uh-oh, I did something. The only people group who can make you feel guilty with a look are moms. In conclusion today, you've learned about true guilt and false guilt. You've learned about the 4 guilt groups. And I ask, the next time you feel guilty, ask yourself if it's a true guilt. And make a plan to make a change so that you don't have to feel guilty anymore. Our final bit of advice today on guilt comes from Aldous Huxley. He said, on no account should you brood over your wrongdoing. Rolling in the muck is not the best way to get clean. Madam Toastmaster.